Okay, ladies and germs, today I have something special for you, and this, as you can see, is the iPhone 4, the iPhone 4, the iPhone 4, and I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it 3 times because I can say it 3 times to make it sound coherent. But anyways, this is going to be a tutorial on how to replace the Digitizer LCD assembly. Now, I will state this. You have to buy the Digitizer and LCD assembly together because the LCD is adhered to the Digitizer itself. Now, you can buy them separately and adhere it yourself, but I'd recommend just buying it that way just because it's a lot easier, makes life a lot easier. So, what you're going to need for this project is a Phillips head screwdriver, pry tools, and a star torque screwdriver kind of thing. And they will come in a packet that you get with the phone, with the new LCD Digitizer assembly. And here's the new assembly. It'll come bubble wrapped like that. So, as you can see right there. And also be sure that you buy the proper one because Verizon and At&t, Verizon and Sprint take a different type of frame than the At&t model does. So let's get busy on taking this bad boy apart. So first thing what you want to grab is the star looking fucking screwdriver here. And flip this up. You're going to see 2 holes on the bottom. 1, 2. You're going to remove those 2 screws. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so you take those 2 screws out. And what you're going to want to do is you want to take the back, slide it up, and it should just come right off. So you slide the back up like that. So slide it up, and then just take it off. It'll pop off. It'll expose like a centimeter. So take the backing and just place it over somewhere where you are not going to lose it. Now, looking at the interior of the phone. Your next step is to take out the battery, which is right here. So we're going to pop that battery out. And now what you're going to need to do in order to do that is there's a screw right here. You're going to need to take that screw out. Let me just show you real quick. Right, so this screw right here, you're going to want to take that out. Now that's a Phillips head screw. So instead of using the Phillips head screwdriver that you get with the packet, I choose to use a better one. It's a Pros kit. It's a much better fucking metal than the screwdrivers that they give to you. So we're going to remove this screw here. And I'm just going to put that screw over there. And now you can grab one of the pry tools. This is what we're going to be using on the interior of this phone. Grab one of the pry tools and just pry up on that. And that's the battery plug itself. The phone will then power off. And now what you're going to want to do is take a pry tool and pry at the battery a little bit. I like to pry at the top first. Slide this on down. Prying at the top. And then pry at the bottom a little bit. And pry along the side here. And just kind of wiggle that battery on out. Once it gets loose, you can just pretty much pull the battery out. There's the battery, looks like that. And when you're doing this, try and keep the screws to what they go to because it's going to be like a fucking maze once you get deeper into removing everything in the phone. Alright, so now what you're going to do is you're going to want to remove these panels. So I'm just going to take this little piece of rubber here, or plastic, whatever the hell you want to call it, and I'm going to show you the panels that you need to remove. So, there's a few panels, and there's this panel here that's covering for the speakers down the bottom. So there's 2 screws here, and then if you come up here you're gonna see 1, 2, 3, and here's another little side panel right here. You're gonna want to remove this panel, and this panel here. So we'll start with this one, make life a little easy. So I'll just unscrew these like so, and then that panel will just come right off nice and easy. I can again keep the screws together with what they go with. Now, next panel is this nice little big odd shaped one right here. So we're going to take out these screws. So you got 1 screw here. I'm going to take this one out. Just like that. And take this screw out here. you got another screw up here. And then this last screw here, which I believe is longer than the rest of them, but I'm not sure. Nope, it's the same size. Alright, it's not that one. So you got 4 screws there. And now there's this last screw right here on the side. Remove that one. That's the bigger one than all of them. So remember that goes on the left. And then this panel should just come right off as well. That'll just pop on off like that. There's your panel. Put that over with the screws. And then finally the final panel, which is right here, which is just one screw. Just gonna take this screw out. And ow, that panel will just come on out. Alright, now we're going to disconnect the connectors. So first connector you want to disconnect is going to be the camera, which is right here where I'm pointing. This is where the camera is, so just pop that on up like that. And you got 3 connectors over here. This bottom connector is for your volume buttons on the side, and then this connector here I believe is for the front camera, and then this last third connector going up right here is for the speaker on the headset, which you listen to when you're on the phone, which, you know, normally people put the phone up to their ear. So you're just going to disconnect these 3 right here. There it is. Those 3 are disconnected. Now let's disconnect the digitizer and LCD power. This is the LCD power, this one on the left right here next to the camera. So that pops on up like that. And then this right here is the digitizer, which also pops right up. There we go. Fold those back a little bit. Now you have the antenna right here, which that should just pop right out too. Okay, so there's your antenna. And then last but not least, the speaker phone, which is down the bottom here. Comes on out like that. Now what you want to do with this one is you want to peel this wire up. You want to just peel it up, get it off there, and then I like to just fold it on down like that. And doing that, you expose one more panel. There's a screw right here for a panel, and you're going to want to take that out. So remove this screw, take the panel and put it over there. It's kind of like a L bracket looking thing. Leave that screw with that panel. And now we're ready to go on to the next step, which will be removing the speakers down below. So looking at these speakers now, there's 2 screws. There's a screw here and a screw here. And they're both different sizes, so they have to go back in the same way that they came out. This one comes out with a triangular panel, so you're going to have to take that out as well and put that back where it was. And then also, there's a screw on this side, and you'll see a wire right here. It comes along the side, and it comes up here. There's a little tiny pin. You have to disconnect that. So I'm just going to disconnect that real quick. So be careful taking that up, because there's actually a track that it lays in as well. So don't rip the wire. And then this, as you can see, that came out pretty easy, but what you want to do is you want to pull up on the back end towards you, and then it will come out like that. Okay, now the next and final step that we're going to be doing, actually second to last, you got to take out the camera. So the camera just comes on out like that, real easy. No screws, no nothing. Now, now the final step, which is removing the board. This is going to totally have everything out where it is. Now, I want you to remember a few things. There's this screw here, this screw, and this screw. Now these screws right here, screws go into these. When you put the board back in and then you put all the paneling on, this is what the paneling screws into for these three. So let's take out this top one first. Now don't be afraid to push down on it if you can't get it, because you're going to need to apply a little bit of pressure to get on these. And just simply take them out one by one. Now the top one is going to be the longest, so keep the top one separate so you know that that top one goes right there. If you have a small flathead screwdriver, that tends to work better too to get them out, just because they have notches in them. Makes it a little easier. Now that's the middle one, so I'm going to put that down in the middle on where I'll remember it will be the middle screw. And then you got this final one down here at the bottom, so you want to unscrew that one too. That's the last one, so I'm going to put that to where it's the last one. And then you got that final screw on the side here, which is actually the easiest one to get out. And the board's actually going to start to lift on up. There's a hidden screw. Thank you, Apple. Alright, so right here, with the Digitizer and LCD power plug-in, there's a screw actually right here underneath some black tape. Now it might be here, it might not. This is the Verizon model, so I'm not too familiar with these because I've been doing a lot of At&t models, so I apologize for that little fault. But this is the top screw of the board, so you're going to want to take that, and now the board should just slide on out with no problem at all. There we are. See how easy that was? It's like counting beans. Alright, so now that you got the board out, there's one more thing that you're going to have to do. Now, as you can see, we got this phone pretty much apart to where it's like, oh god, is it still a phone? So, this little round thing down here, which is actually a ground, this is actually just glued. So what you're going to want to do is just kind of wiggle it on out like so, and just pull up on it and take it out, and leave that with the board. Now, on to the third phase, and this is going to be removing the frame. So what you're going to need to grab is your Phillips head screwdriver, and this pretty much is all straightforward like so. Now what you're going to want to do is there's 4 screws in the corners, so there's a screw in here, and then there's a screw in this corner also, as well as this top corner here and this top corner, and then you have 3 screws on the side here and 3 screws on the side here. You're going to want to remove all of those screws. Now the ones in the corner are different from the ones on the side, so just remember that the ones in the corner have to stay separate from the side paneling screws. So go ahead and take those out. Okay, so now that you got all the screws out, this is your next step. Okay, digitizer replacement. Here's the front of the phone. That digitizer just kind of sits in there like that, and I had to kind of fiddle with it where the 3 sides are. I had to push down on the prongs that are holding the frame in because it was kind of in there really good. So I got the old one out now. Now we're going to put the new one in. So I'm just going to get rid of this fucking garbage here. And there we are. Now the new one. Ta-da. Now, your new one's probably going to have this blue stuff on it. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to peel that off. Alright, so be careful when you peel it off. And what you're just going to do now is you're going to take this phone like so. And you're just going to take these 2 cords right here on the digitizer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of peel those forward a little bit. And you're just going to take these 2 and slide them through that hole right there. And then just slide that in onto place. There you go, the new one's in its junction. So, flip this back over now and just kind of lay it flat down on the table. Now don't worry, you got a screen protector, so it's not going to be the end of the world if you lay it down on the table. Now, this top panel, you want to make sure that this lines up properly and is flush. Just pull up on it a little bit. Now it's time to put it back together. So just reverse the take apart process, if you remember, and put it all back together.